Okay, another week. Andres, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome, Kai. Happy to be here as always.
Excellent. So this week, I guess we've got technically like four talking points. There's been four new partnership announcements across the DXP space, right? So who's been partnering up?
Yeah, so the the featured one that we had in DXP Report was Uniform and Algolia. Um, so this is an integration between Uniform's DXC platform, digital experience composition platform, and Algolia's search and discovery platform. So with this partnership, business teams will be able to customize search experiences and automate content suggestions for digital experiences. And the end result of that will be helping to improve the customer journey and increase conversions. So when they asked for quotes about this, Darren Waranachia, president of Uniform, he said the future of retail is composable and Uniform makes that happen. So the partnership between Uniform and Algolia will allow brands to quickly and automatically deliver relevant results to shoppers and provide new and efficient ways for developers and business users to work with a modern digital experience stack. And Piyush Patel, Chief Strategic Business Development Officer at Algolia, he also said that they're thrilled to partner with Uniform to help grow these search and discovery experiences for retailers and improve the ease process of orchestrating and automating content, and it should bolster efficiency for commerce and marketing teams.
Yeah. I guess it makes most sense if we sort of give my overview of this after we go through the rest of them. So let's move on to the next one, which is Vercel and Sitecore, what they've been doing.
Yeah, so Vercel and Sitecore is a partnership between cloud platform for developers Vercel and a digital experience platform Sitecore. So it's basically what they're calling it is a response to the need for more composable architecture. So the goal is to help clients build 100% composable digital experiences using Vercel's Edge middleware, Sitecore's Experience Manager, and integrations that allow for headless solutions by leveraging Vercel's finance and service experience expertise. So Kevin Van Gundy, COO at Vercel, he said that they believe in pushing the boundaries of what's possible on the web and providing developers with the tools to create unique experiences. And building this partnership with Sitecore will help to transform the web's direct-to-consumer landscape and allow retailers to build faster and more dynamic experiences. And Oren Talanuik, Global SVP Partners at Sitecore, some echoes those star statements, and he says it's going to be an end-to-end solution for all the digital needs. So they're basically going to try to help accelerate things for digital experiences.
Yeah, this move obviously. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah, this just makes a lot of sense. Like in terms of where Sitecore's been heading, Vercel. This just makes a lot of sense from the whole composable architecture perspective. So yeah, I mean, I can't. It was kind of surprising when I saw Vercel and Sitecore partnering, but then when I think about it, actually it makes a lot of sense. Let's move on again because I'm going to just comment on this stuff. So CINT and Crown Peak, what's their partnership about?
Yeah, so CINT and Crown Peak, CINT, they provide modern application development services, basically help companies with any sort of digital solutions they have. And Crown Peak, known DXP in the landscape, they're on a mission to build retail experience management accelerators. So basically, that's going to help retail and e-commerce companies bring a unique customer experience to their customers. So what does it say? Well, the CINT Young Fam Chief Strategy Officer. So talks about the fact that their experience in retail and commitment to working with top tier partners like Crown Peak will help to develop accelerators for brands to connect their real estate experiences. From pandemic restrictions to major supply chain disruptions, last few years have created a need for acceleration in how this in-store experience can be better digitized and support commerce. And similar thing from Jonah Poransky, CEO of Crown Peak.
Yeah, so just looking at young Fam's quote here: he's mentioned virtual consultation, product recommendations, virtual merchandising, as well as personalization, and he's mentioned in-store as well. So we're really seeing now this whole, like, we've been talking about omni-channel for a while.
Yeah.
It feels like we're sort of crossing that chasm of, like, okay, headless technology makes omni-channel possible. Now we're actually seeing brands, quite clearly take that leap, right? These partnerships usually happen when there's a project coming to fruition, right? Or a project has just been sort of assigned to either the agency, or they've won a project, or the agency's won a project, or the vendor's won a project. So this stuff is clearly sort of emerging now as an actual real use case, rather than just being sort of very niche. Oh, what, IKEA did something that was really, really cool. It was just like, it sort of stayed in IKEA's universe. I think we're starting to see different omni-channel experiences actually popping up now. I think we're sort of crossing that chasm. Let's go through Share ID and Commerce Tools' partnership as well to finish this off.
Yeah, so Share ID is a leader in identity marketing, and Commerce Tools, composable commerce provider, and they've partnered to allow Commerce Tools merchants to easily develop gated, personalized offers for valuable consumer communities such as students, teachers, and healthcare professionals through the Share ID platform. So merchants will have access to Share ID's digital verification engine, and will allow them to instantly identify eligible consumers for their exclusive promotions, dynamic personalization, and merchandising programs. And what they're calling it is the first headless audience verification service to merchants.
Right. So further proof that, like, just new areas just opening up with headless in front of them, or API first in front of them, or Mac in front of them. This is where we're heading, I think. And I think okay, so if listeners go back to our December 26th edition of DXP Report, that's basically my my overview of what's happening here, right? 4 different partnerships, 4 relatively different partnerships. You've got like identification based stuff, like identifying members of communities. Elsewhere, you've got like what was the other Vercel and Sitecore, which is like purely sort of hosting type. Sorry, I'm all over the place. What's the word I'm looking for? Hosting, right?
Hosting services.
There you go. That's the one. So we're seeing like different things pop up where you wouldn't necessarily think that a headless partnership or a headless CMS or a headless commerce platform is going to make that partnership, right? Share ID, I think, is a good example of this, where it's like they specialize in making sure that a student community or a healthcare community, nurse community, whatever it may be, they make sure that they verify who's inside that that community of employees or whatnot. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of these different avenues opening up, where headless becomes the basis for different types of experiences, content-based experiences, online and offline, in just new spaces, right? Like I'm thinking ahead. I'm now preparing myself to see things like headless commerce vendor partnering up with like cinemas, right? Where it's like, okay, they're going to start having product recommendations or products on the screen or something like that, right? I'm just spitballing here. My point being, though, different industries that you didn't really consider to be in this space are going to start entering this space through these partnerships. Because again, like I mentioned before, we're sort of crossing that chasm now where these omni-channel experiences that we've been speaking about for like half a decade, they're now actually sort of going to start happening. I won't say en masse, but definitely more than we've seen them, right? So yeah, going back to my sort of December 26th newsletter post, I essentially said that this coming period for the growth of Mac architecture, for the growth of composability, is going to be all about partnerships, right? And you can look at things like Ninetailed kind of entering the space where they start to they're a personalization platform, but they've very specifically approached headless platforms, headless commerce, or headless CMS to partner up with them, right? Because they can see that these are the platforms that are going to form the basis of a lot of enterprise technology stacks. They recognize that, they've started to partner with them. And again, you can see that there's other sort of players entering the space that were not previously in it, making the same move. So I feel like, again, the role of agencies is going to play a huge role here, because when these use cases, when a company says, look, we want to do something completely different now, we want to do this in store they'll approach their agency or an agency who they think can handle it, and it's up to the agency at that point to say, okay, we're going to need a headless CMS or a headless commerce platform, at the foundation of this project, right? They're going to have to know that, and they're also going to have to know which one is the best option, price-wise, capability-wise, so on and so forth. So I feel like, again, as I mentioned in this December 26th edition, the role of agencies is going to grow. I think we're seeing headless vendors recognize that. They're putting more emphasis on sort of reaching out to agencies, trying to educate agencies about what they do and the benefits of their platform over other competitors. And yeah, I think partnership is going to be where a lot of companies make their bread, if you will, this year and next year. Obviously, this is something, Andres, you and me are working hard on to facilitate. We've got a product launching soon to facilitate this. We can't say too much else. But if anybody does want to find out more about how we plan to facilitate these partnerships between agencies and headless vendors and Mac vendors, you can reach me on LinkedIn or email kaya@wordify.co. But yeah, I would just say, again, probably my best overview of this, I already wrote it. The December 26th one is my overview of what's happening here and what I think is going to continue happening. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Anything else to add?
Just on the point that you mentioned about agencies playing a big role, I think one of the things, the general theme that we've seen in all these partnerships is everyone mentions composable architecture, the ability to like choose what you want and swap out and whatnot. And I think that with agencies, companies like a few years ago, they might have turned to an agencies, like, they go consult an agency for any time they want to do something different with their software tool. And sometimes agencies might build a custom solution or something like that. But like, as everyone's trying now to cater to this omni-channel, trying to reach their target market wherever they are and do all these things, it's now becoming, oh, we can't do this with this solution that you built us. What's the next best option?
Yeah, that's a good point. There's definitely going to be a lot of changes. It's going to be interesting. I do think, again, the role of agencies is going to be really, really massive. And it's up to the headless vendors to sort of position themselves as that, preferred option, because as more headless CMSs and headless commerce platforms pop up on the market, which we're seeing more and more of, why shouldn't an agency choose one over the other? Right, that's going to be the question here. As again, cinemas decide they want to start having this sort of more personalized or more e-commerce sort of focused experience, or bowling alleys, or whatever it may be. This stuff's going to start reaching. It's the stuff we were writing about 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be Alexas everywhere, and you're going to do shopping and like this and that. It never really happened, but we're edging more and more towards that more than ever before, basically. And we're seeing that with these sort of partnerships going on. I'm also hearing from other companies who I can't name. They're signing huge contracts with companies who are doing things that they've never done before in the online space and offline space with physical not physical stores, but definitely online experiences. So we're starting to see things change. There'll be a lot of custom stuff, but the good thing about like headless Mac API first is that you can build these sort of architectures with something at the foundation and still have custom stuff where it's needed. So the headless CMS being custom is probably not, or the headless commerce platform being the custom part is probably not ideal, considering the amount of sort of lightweight products that are out there. Yeah. But the great thing is, because of this whole Mac architecture thing, you can have that and build what's custom next to it, integrate other API first platforms from other sort of adjacent industries or spaces. And that's why this is happening, right? Because a lot of these companies are moving away from like a monolithic thing where they're paying a ton of money for things that aren't very flexible, and they're moving towards something that's more lean, but is yet more flexible, more malleable, right? So that's why we're sort of seeing this trend, I think. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Anything else?
One more story that we did feature. It's an article from IT Ecology, and the title of it was "Why is e-commerce broken?" So it's really answering the question of, is e-commerce really broken? But it really lays out the fact that we need to fix e-commerce to ensure that it delivers the level of service that we expect of our brand. So that's like basically a problem that companies seem to be having. And just a quick overview of some of the key points I mentioned. After COVID, brands responded quickly, so everyone went through their digital transformation. Like all the things that were taking 3-4 years, oh, we can't do it now. It's just like, okay, we can do it in 2 months now. And in e-commerce, what that's changed is customers are now spoiled for choice. They have higher expectations for e-commerce. And an interesting thing that the article mentioned was that brand loyalty is dying online. And at first, I was a bit taken aback by that. I kind of see it. It's like customers, they care more about the experience, not about a specific brand. And they're going to switch at the drop of a hat if you can't like cater them. And basically, as we were mentioning, like things like omnichannel, that's now becoming a reality. All these different integrations with different tools, by like Mac architecture, composability, and whatnot, are all becoming a reality. And headless commerce is basically like a first step in making that a reality.
Yeah, and I think in your notes here you mentioned how they're mentioning the need to be able to cater to omnichannel and multiple integrations, right? Which is again what we're just saying, right? It's going to be, if you think about the traditional e-commerce website, what kind of integrations do we have? You're going to have obviously your payment stuff, the payment gateways. You're going to have maybe something for personalization, something for search, these sort of plugins that you might build custom or depending on the platform you're on. CRM, that kind of thing, right? Product information management. These are the kind of things you're going to integrate with. What we're going to probably start seeing is, again, just like totally like left field industry saying, look, we want to like integrate our online store with, our golf club, like when they're on the golf course, we want to have this screen, stuff like that, right? That's going to, it looks like it's going to start happening like that. And that means, again, this whole concept of integration is going to change, right? Headless CMSs would have never thought they need to be good integration with, just like weird and random softwares from an industry they'd never dream of working with, So this is basically what they're saying. And again, this is why Mac architecture is taking off, because it enables this, right? There's no limit on, where the integrations can be or what the integrations can be. So it's exciting times for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. I think that wraps it up. 17 minutes, decent episode. Yeah, I do encourage people to have a look at my December 26th newsletter on DXPReport.com. It's actually titled Some Surprise News. So there's a hint in there about what we're working on as well. But that sort of wraps up this conversation that me and Andres are having. So yeah, Andres, pleasure as always.
Yeah, happy to be here as usual. See you next week, guys.
See ya. Oh man, I struggled through that one.